Hello viewers, here is a video on how shadowing practice can improve your English. You are watching Sumita Roy's English classroom, and I'm very happy to hear that many of you are commenting that you are improving your English hugely by watching this 6-month-old channel. In these few months, I have posted almost 200 videos. Every video can be used for shadowing, and you can also choose other things. In another video next, I will tell you how you can use shadowing by using old English songs. So today, let us talk about the importance of shadowing in order to improve your English. Shadowing is a wonderful practice for beginners to start learning a language. The first point for a shadow is that you have a good model. Once you develop a good model, you will be able to practice using that model. You can find a suitable story, a suitable speech or recording. I have given you many videos on stories to motivate you where the text is on your screen and you are also able to read it as I read the story out to you. Pause it at the end of each sentence, repeat that sentence or replay it again and again and repeat. You can do this by watching the video many times. That is why in every video I keep telling you to watch the videos completely and repeatedly, to practice as I have said in each video. Because unless you practice speaking on your own, you will not be able to benefit. You just listen to my ideas and keep quiet, no benefit comes to you. Continue to comment on all the videos you watch because your comments tell me what you're learning. I saw in today's comments, many people have made sentences with the vocabulary I have taught them in that video. Somebody says, I want to learn grammar. Go to the grammar podcast or the playlist and watch all those videos, practice, comment in the comment box, ask questions. Many of you ask questions to which I reply every day. Regularly you get replies to your comments, therefore do it. Like and share because I would like these videos to reach all of you who don't want to join a course or pay for your English but learn it by yourself. Self-improvement. Then of course, subscribe. We have a good number of subscribers, but if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and keep watching. Every time a notification comes, once a day, I upload a video and you can keep watching. Now I'm going to tell you 10 points on your shadowing practice. What is this technique of shadowing? First, let me tell you. The technique of shadowing is to listen to somebody who speaks the language well, who speaks the language in a way which you want to learn. Notice the words and the phrases and the vocabulary. Notice the pronunciation, intonation, pauses, and also notice the structure of sentences. Then you imitate it exactly. You mimic it, imitating what the speaker is saying with the correct intonation, correct rhythm, correct pauses, correct use of words. Today I saw a comment where there were very nice sentences, but in each of them verb was missing. So I would request that person to go back to the verbs lesson, watch the verbs, because no sentence is possible in English without the use of verbs. Then you find that Children learn a language by doing this on their own. Nobody teaches them shadowing, but they do it. If the small baby has an elder brother or sister, it tries to repeat whatever the elder brother or sister is saying. If you say one sentence which is very difficult, they cannot pronounce it, then they say it. The elder brother says, "Here is my suitcase." So you show a bag and you say, "Here is my suitcase." The baby might say, "Here is my suitcase." This is a real example which I'm giving you. So what you find is that even if you are repeating wrongly, it doesn't really matter. What you require is a suitable model for your shadowing. That is point number 1. I said I'll give you 10 points. Now here is the first point. The second point is that when you want to shadow, listen to it, listen to the recording or listen to the sentence or listen to the passage at least 5 times before you start shadowing. For instance, you go to the storytelling videos. The first storytelling video is a nice story, Merchant of Venice, how the young girl saves the husband's friend from being killed. That is the story. First storytelling video, you can go maybe 3-4 months back. Then what you find there is that you have to listen to the story many times. Then you repeat each sentence. You repeat the sentences as the speaker has given. I gave you examples also of others, and that is, suppose it's a vocabulary video. On the screen, the sentences are there. You don't have to give an entire story. You take that, listen carefully, read on your own in your mind, and then after you have done it 5 times, then you start shadowing. Listen to it, repeat it immediately. I have given you a video for beginners, identifying objects, where I have shown you the object, repeated a sentence, and waited for a few seconds for you to shadow, to repeat. So shadowing practice requires listening carefully, which is the second point. Find yourself a model, a video, a recording, a person, and then listen carefully. Once you have listened carefully, we move on to the third point, and that is repeat loudly. I told you first time, when you're reading it, when you're listening to it, you might repeat it in your mind. But that does not help your speaking. If you really want to speak well, if you want to speak fluently, confidently, if you want to speak as though you are comfortable speaking English, then you need to speak these aloud. You need to repeat loudly. You need to say it so that what you say, your ears can hear. You must say it and hear it with your own ears. Again, it gets recorded in your memory. This recording is very important. It is not memorizing, but it is learning a language by constant exposure to that language. So, repeating aloud is very important for shadowing. You do it for a few days. You needn't do it forever. Start for a few days. If you feel that you know English very well, but you cannot speak English, then shadowing is the point which you have to keep practicing. And once you learn to repeat it, maybe for a week you take different passages every day. First day, one passage. Listen to it 5 times. Then repeat sentence by sentence. Second day, another one. Again, take a small one. If you don't have time, take a 2-minute passage. A passage which has only 2 minutes. And then listen to it 5 times, that's 10 minutes. Repeat it, again it is 2 or 3 minutes. So within 12 or 13 minutes, you have finished your shadowing practice. That would be a great thing for you to do. Then we move on to point number 4. Point number 4 is very important because you need to sound like you're speaking English. Most of us have a problem, and that is we tend to have the influence of our own language in English. But as I told you, Indian English is today spoken by such a large number of people that it is recognized globally. We have to speak a standard Indian English, that is GIE. This is accepted all over the subcontinent, in all the countries close to us. And even when I go abroad to speak, whether it is Germany or USA or Bangladesh or other places, I can use my Indian English, GIE, and this will help you to be understood everywhere. But unless you concentrate on the pronunciation, you are not getting a standard English, then you have a problem. It is influenced by the regional language in different parts of the country. Different parts of the world also. If you hear people with different mother tongues all over the world using English, you will find that their mother tongue influences them. You look at the East Asian countries, you look at the African countries, you look at the South American countries. You look at English in different parts of the world which is spoken as the mother tongue. That also is not standard English. You have a different variety: American English, British English, Canadian English, Australian English. All are spoken as the mother tongue, but different varieties. So keep your standard as the English which you are hearing. And then when you move to another country where English is spoken in a slightly different way, you will pick up that accent easily. So when you are shadowing, concentrate on one variety of English. Don't try to mix all the varieties of English to start with. Many comments in the initial days, 6 months back, said that we want British pronunciation or we want American pronunciation. Now that would be something which you will pick up from the native speakers. That is a wonderful way of shadowing, where you pick up pronunciation which is required. But that pronunciation might not make you understood in other places. So that is point number 4 about concentrating on your pronunciation when you are doing the shadowing practice. The shadowing practice is listening and repeating. Now you have to do it regularly. Unless you do shadowing for a few days, you cannot learn it. I'll give you the example of Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a language which is usually heard by listening and repeating. In the earliest forms, thousands of years ago, it was always oral communication, that the teacher would recite and the student would learn from the recitation. So even today, when you listen to it, if you listen with your text in front of you, that's wonderful. But you listen and repeat each word. Listen and repeat each phrase. Listen and repeat each sentence. Then once you repeat it maybe 20, 30 times, not listen 20, 30 times, but repeat it 20 times, you will find that you are comfortable with the language. But repeating 20 times cannot be done in a single day. It has to be done on 20 different days. The same passage for 20 days you can use. And that is how regular practice helps you to improve your speaking if you are using shadowing. Choose the shadow, choose the model which you want to imitate, and use that imitation for a long time, a small passage for a long time, then another small passage for a long time. Unless you do it regularly, you are not going to improve. In the process, you make many mistakes. That is point number 6. Even if you make mistakes, don't get worried. There is nothing to worry in your making of mistakes. Point number 6 tells us that if we do not make mistakes, we don't learn English. We don't learn anything in life unless we make mistakes. Mistakes make us realize that we can become better. If we do not try, we do not make mistakes. Suppose you sit back and you say, okay, I'm listening to many videos, madam, I'm enjoying your videos. Wonderful. I'm happy you're enjoying it. But I did not make the videos for your enjoyment alone. I made these videos. Every day I'm making your videos for you so that your English becomes better. Many of you say, we want to speak like you. As a teacher, I would say, speak better than me. The best thing for a teacher is when the student goes above. The student is better than me. Nothing can be greater happiness for a teacher than to see a student who excels the teacher. So please do that. Speak better. Start by making mistakes. I can tell you hundreds of stories of my own life where I made hundreds of mistakes and struggled for a long time in order to learn English. It's not as though I was born with English or as though my mother tongue is English. No. We learn by making mistakes. Don't try for perfection first. Again, I'll give you an example. I never learned to drive a car because I wanted to drive on day one like the people who had driven for 20 years were doing. I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to search for, where is the gear, where is the accelerator, and so on. I wanted to be perfect on day one. In the process, till my old age, I never learned to drive. That mistake is terrible. That's not a nice mistake. But suppose I had allowed myself to make small mistakes by pressing the brake instead of pressing the accelerator, by going on the road like this while learning, I would have been able to drive a car today. So English is exactly like that. If you make small mistakes today, you will learn better and better from your mistakes. But if you are afraid that I will become perfect first, then only I will speak English. Without becoming perfect, I won't speak English. Then don't do that. That is not going to help you. Now, the next point in shadowing, that is point number 7. Out of our 10 points, this is point number 7. And that is, you need to test yourself. You need to evaluate yourself, or you need to monitor yourself. Now, what does this mean? Suppose you have a passage which you are using for shadowing practice. You record your own share. Record yourself when you are practicing that passage, when you are shadowing from a particular source. Now, when you finish the practice, listen to the original passage, listen to your shadowing practice. Compare the two and see whether you are doing exactly as that person has said. Exactly what you heard. Are you able to repeat what you heard exactly? Are you stopping at the wrong places? I gave you long back, 6 months back, breath group. Where should we stop and where we shouldn't stop? Suppose in this sentence, where we should stop and where we shouldn't stop, I pause at the wrong places, then the meaning does not come. By changing pauses sometimes, meaning also changes or meaning becomes confused. Nobody can understand. Therefore, if you can evaluate yourself, if you can test yourself, you are the student, you are the teacher. See how wonderful it is? You are shadowing, You are recording and then you have to give yourself marks by saying, today my shadowing practice, I can only give 5 marks out of 10. After a week, you say, oh, today my shadowing practice can get 8 on 10. I have moved, 30% marks. And then after some time, you say, today my shadowing is perfect. I can give myself 10 on 10. This is how we examine ourselves, we assess ourselves. Self-assessment is very important for self-improvement. Unless you examine yourself, unless you test yourself, you cannot improve at all. Now, point number 8 is choose to shadow passages which interest you. Don't choose for shadowing something which is of no interest. I remember I gave you a story about how a person was learning English with the help of an English teacher, from zero to good English. I gave you another story where, that person learnt English by some other methods. All these learning English videos are very, very good for your shadowing practice. Now, what happens? You get inspired by the story. You get motivated that somebody who did not know English, somebody who could not read in class, everybody was laughing at this person. The classmates were saying your English is useless. That person learns good English. So what happens? You get involved in the material. Suppose you are interested in sports. Then you can shadow using a cricket commentary or any other sports commentary or a sports podcast. If you are interested in movies, you can take a small movie clipping and use it for shadowing. In this way, you can choose whatever interests you. When you find what interests you, you will learn better because your shadowing gets your wholehearted interest into the passage. Otherwise, if you're shadowing something which you don't like, then half your mind goes away elsewhere. You are thinking of something else and you are practicing shadowing. It doesn't improve you at all. So don't make such a mistake. Choose what you like. That is why I have made videos for different levels, different interest groups, and different subjects. Every video in the English classroom is for different types of people. No two videos are of the same type. You will find that same type of videos are uploaded every day or every week. That doesn't really help you. When you go to dinner, if they only give you rice and sambar or rice and curry, you are not happy. There are 10 things in the party and you choose what you want to eat. Learning English should be like that. It should be fun. It should be enjoyable. And therefore, for shadowing, choose a passage which you think is enjoyable. Then, of course, number 9. It is not necessary for you to shadow only on one variety of material. Even if you are interested in only one variety, choose different varieties. You can take some political speech. You can also take some social discussion. You can take a conversation where people are saying some humorous things, or they are complaining, or they are saying something bad. You can choose, poetry, or you can choose stories. You can choose some cultural discussion, or you can tune to some spiritual topic. All these are possible varieties which might interest everybody. Social issues everybody likes. We also like spiritual things because very often we turn to spirituality whenever we require it. You can also have some light-hearted passages where you enjoy listening you also enjoy the subject. So, variety in shadowing is point number 9. Choose variety, that would be excellent. The last point is very, very important. Shadowing is not a mechanical exercise. Don't be like a machine just repeating what you hear. Try to put it in your mind. In your brain, it should get recorded. It should remain in your brain. And what you have learned from the passage should be with you. All the language skills are there with you. When I give you the slides with the recorded voice, you find that you can read it, you can listen to it, you can speak it out or read it aloud, and you can write it down also. Like I told you in the comments box, many have written sentences using the phrases which I gave them. It makes me very happy when I see comments of this nature. That means you are working very hard. I appreciate it. And all those of you who say that you are improving by watching my videos, I thank you. Please continue to watch, and a time will come when you will start teaching English to others. I want to see that. Even if you're not a teacher, you might just teach English, because by teaching we improve. So, unless you concentrate on the language skills, there are 5 language skills I've told you again and again: grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, spelling, and punctuation. When you are reading the passage, spelling and punctuation you must observe. When you are listening, observe pronunciation. When you are listening and reading, observe vocabulary and grammar. Once you have observed these things, your shadowing practice teaches you good English. It not only teaches you how to speak, but it teaches you good English. Now, when you practice these 10 various points which I have given you, you will begin your journey of speaking very well. You are comfortable in speaking English. You are confident. You are spontaneous. The English which you speak is effortless. You think and speak at the same time. You don't have to translate from your mother tongue. All these are the benefits of shadowing. So please do that. I wish you all the best, and thank you.